writing all this down. I got these are little videos, man. I don't even remember the first one. You gonna
Hello and welcome to Progress with Portia, where we have real conversations to progress individuals and communities. I'm so excited today to have my friend Gary Chambers here with me. Hello, Gary.
What's up, Portia? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm pushing, sister. I'm pushing.
Hey, I got the shirt too that says "Keep pushing." I got all your shirts. Let's go higher.
I appreciate you.
Do good, seek justice. So, y'all, some of y'all may have heard of Gary from his viral video where he addressed Connie. Some of you may know him from his work in the community of Baton Rouge. Some of you may know him because he's currently running for Congress here in Baton Rouge. And I learned of Gary back when he was basically, what he's still doing now is serving the community. When there was a time when it was a lot of things happening. My mom actually, and Gary, I've told you about this, how we were having conversations at home and they would talk about the disparities that were in North Baton Rouge. And as she began to point them out to me, just about just the lack of businesses, lack of resources, how they were shutting down Earl K. Long, I began to wonder, where are the Black leaders who are speaking out about this? And I'm not going to say none existed. I just did not know about them. And so I wanted to see more people speaking out about it. Then Trayvon Martin happened somewhere before or after that. And I remember looking for a protest all around the nation. People were protesting. And I was looking for one here. I'm like, here we are in a majority, I know the numbers, I don't. How many Black people, the percentage of Blacks in Baton Rouge. But if we have a high percentage, and we have a HBC, we have LSU, we have BRCC, we have the NASW here. And I was like, Lord, where are the people who are sick of this, who are outraged? And so I didn't see him, but eventually someone shared a video of you. And ever since then, I've been locked into Gary. Anybody who knows me knows I'm talking about Gary Chambers. If you are close to me, you've heard his name. You probably feel like you know him closely because I am talking about what he's doing. And I'm so honored and just, I've been so blessed to just be able to get to know you. And every time I'm around him, it's just a wealth of knowledge. But again, the sincerity of his heart and service for the people. Gary, thank you so much for everything that you do. And now here you are running for Congress. Tell me a little bit about what's happening for you and what is this like being in this space right now? I know I said a lot.
As usual, it is a beautiful journey. I did not foresee that I would be in this position to have the type of support we've had from around the country. Over 7,000 people have given to us so far. We've raised over $250,000 in this effort. And, for somebody who's from North Baton Rouge, who's been pushing for change and having so many folks oppose the voice that I've been sometimes in this community, to have so many people say, nah, that's what we want to lead, it's very humbling, and you hear people say that, but for me, it's really true. It's a very humbling experience. I don't take it lightly that people are willing to support me. I want to do the right things to advance our people, to advance our state and our communities. And I just believe that the time is right for change. I think that where we are, this moment in history, is one where there's a profound sense of consciousness. And I believe with that consciousness comes a responsibility by all of us to activate ourselves in our communities in such a way that our children can see the change from the work that we do today.
Right. And even as you're saying that, what is the significance of what your statement just there and having someone like yourself running for Congress? Like, how does that, what's the correlation between what you just said and you running?
For me, it is, that I'm a ordinary working class person that's getting the opportunity to go to the halls of Congress if the voters of Louisiana send me to represent people whose voices have often been counted out, whose perspectives have often not been heard, and the vantage point of our reality is often ignored. And so I think that this moment is significant. I'm excited about the opportunity to go and fight for policies like the Green New Deal and Medicare for All, and to fight for policies like the Green New Deal and Medicare for All, and all of those types of policies that will advance us and help create more jobs. Portia, our state ranks 50 in the nation. And I think that when you look at the numbers, we rank 50 in crime because we rank number 49 in opportunity. And so we've got to be serious about creating jobs. And I think that the significance of this moment is somebody who understands the need for people to earn a good wage and be able to provide for their families. Having somebody who understands your plight is going to be the difference in having me in Congress.
Right. And I mean, and that's one thing that really resonates with me with your story is that you said you never had, and not to say that there's anything wrong for those who had the aspiration to be in politics, but of course we definitely want people who had that vision, but that was not necessarily your vision for your life, as you stated. And you just showed up as a concerned citizen, and you just began to find your voice as you began to speak about the things that matter to you. And I think so many times we feel of the citizens are detached from politics, but your story shows how a regular everyday citizen can just show up, express their concern, and find their place in politics to be able to speak up for the community, because so many times we feel like our voice doesn't matter, but you have evidence and proof where you have spoken up, where you have fought the good fight, and you all have seen change in Baton Rouge because you did not let down, because you spoke on your passions. And I think it's such an inspirational story, and I think it's so significant to, like you said, to this day and time that we understand this isn't just about you running for Congress, and that's something else I would like to speak up for you to speak on is what happens after we vote for you, because we show up, we vote, but then we can't just disengage after that, right? What do you need from citizens after we vote for you and support you to get you in Congress?
Well, I think one of the key things is, I'm going to use this office to be the great convener of our communities, to bring us to tables to talk about the issues that are important to us. How do we address the income gap and the wealth gap between blacks and whites? How do we advance policies that open up more opportunities in the river parishes and in divested communities? What do we do about the healthcare situation in our state and access to healthcare, including mental health care? How do we do the work of building a bridge forward? And I think that the difference is going to be, because I'm going to help convene these tables, that you're going to have an active participant through the congressional office. And hopefully, as we together set priorities and go and do this work, that we'll be able to bring transformation to our communities. And so what I need is folks to be engaged in your local community, whether you live in no matter what parish you live in the 10 parishes in this district, but to be engaged, to be focused, to be committed to showing up in your community and being active. And then when we need you to email Congress and write letters and speak to members, make phone calls and things of that nature, we need folks who are energized about change, because if we get serious about our communities, other folks will take our community serious.
Mm-hmm. And what do you say to people who are concerned about the fact that you speak very openly that you are going to speak up for the African American community, and that is going to be a part of your priority? But why is that important for the entire city? Why is it important for everybody that we take care of the African Americans in the city?
Not just in the...
So I think we lost you a little bit. We lost you. Gary.
Black people.
Well, we're going to give it a second as it's rebuffering. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about just even about this conversation. And I hope each and every one of you, as we're talking, that you are trying to figure out what your role is and what your role can be as we are having this discussion about how to get engaged, how to get involved. I want you to really be thinking about what areas of your community are, really important to you, and how you can find yourself involved. Hey, Gary, we lost you for a second, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying that our state is 34% Black, and there's a real need for those that are in the African American community to be taken seriously. We have been, in many ways, taken advantage of. So we voted for folks who've done very little for our communities. And, if those who are of foreign descent can come here and fight for policies like DACA, if those who are of Israeli descent can come and fight for America to aid Israel and the Jewish people, if every other nationality or race of people can work together with synergy and policies that are specific to benefit them, and Black people who have contributed to the success of this nation at a cost to our people far greater than anybody else other than the natives, I do believe that it is important that we prioritize our people, and that we get America to do right by us. So often people come and say, thank you for our vote in the Black community, but thank us less and pay us more.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and we definitely, it's definitely something that we need to see, is we need to actually see change. And that's something that you're committed to. And even as you've been going out and about, and I saw recently you went somewhere and they were saying that people couldn't bring in cell phones into one of the meetings. And so in the middle of you going for another reason, you stopped and addressed something that you felt was a citizen right, that they had the right to be able to do these things. And that's one thing, that I do really like about you, is that you're not afraid. When you see something that's not right, you will speak up to it. And it's not, again, because it's not about the position to you. You're not worried about ruffling feathers, but it's about the people. And you are people centered. You are, your concern has been the people, even so much so, the fact that you're even running for this position is about the people. Because I know, after we talked about the Senate race, you told me you weren't running for anything again. I told you would be, but you told me you were not. And it was because of the people letting you know and kind of really saying, we need you, that you went ahead and let go. And it's not because you didn't want to be there to serve the people, but you had refocused your vision to be able to be on the ground and serve the people in another way. And so your heart so much so is towards serving the people that you even let go of that and said, okay, if this is what's needed, then I'm going to step up and I'm going to be the person, because I want to fight and see the change that we need.
Well, you're absolutely right. I was reached out to by Sean King about this, and I was not considering this in a real way. For me, I was satisfied with the transition and the things that we were doing, and I had some plans to do some other work, and still will. But thousands of people from around the country said they wanted us to do this, and folks in the state reached out and said they wanted to do this. And so, I believe in being a servant of the people. I believe that if we are people-centered, that we will make real change for regular, working, ordinary folks. And I just think that it's time for somebody who gets us to represent us. And so if the people want me into something and they do as they've done and put the resources there for us to go and do the work to do this, we'll go. And so as long as we've got folks willing to organize, and most people don't know, but you knocked doors with me when I ran in 2019, and people who are willing to show up like you did then, and be committed to doing the necessary work to win this election. I think that there's going to be on the other side of this some value for us all as the state.
Right. And so even in speaking to that, when we talk about you, oh, that's what I wanted to mention. You, in one of your videos, I saw you say that you hadn't released your policies yet. You said because you wanted to wait on hearing from the people, which is again something we see as different. Typically, people, they develop their policies and then they try to make it sound like what the people are saying. But you said no, and I'm sure you had an idea of some things, of course, that you were passionate about, but you wanted to go hear what mattered to the people, and then create the policies that were going to be priority for you. And so in that process, and I know you've spoken on it some, but what are some of the priorities that you have gathered from your conversations and being out here and really hearing the needs and the cries of the people?
I think people do believe that everybody needs access to health care. I think folks believe that folks ought to be able to breathe clean air and get good jobs. I think people believe that we should reimagine how we do policing in America. I think all of those things that are progressive in ideas are not foreign or absent from the mind of the people. Have shown us that they are paying attention, that they are wanting to see real change happen in their communities. And so jobs and opportunity is the number one conversation that's being had with us, as well as equity, right? How do we get some racial equity? How do we get to a place of Black folks not just being seen as secondary, but being able to be prioritized by their government? And so we have began to craft the policy plan after having a series of backyard conversations and meeting people in the district and talking to them. And so I'm excited about it.
Okay, awesome, great. And so I know we're going to be wrapping up because you have another meeting to attend. And so I do want you to just kind of speak to those who, we just had a transition of power, the other day with Biden coming in and President Biden and first Vice President Kamala Harris. And so what do you say to the people who feel like, oh, now we can breathe, it's done, and now we're good? What do you say to them?
The work begins now because some of us took a vacation in the Obama years, and we ended up with Trump. And so my challenge to all of us is to be engaged so that we can get real progress moving forward, so that we can move out and ready to be engaged in the fight that's before us. Because if we are not engaged, the ideology of Donald Trump is not gone, even though he's not in the White House. 70 million people still voted for him.
Right.
Which says that there's a Donald Trump in your community, and the only way you defeat them is to strategize.
Yes. You broke up in the last part, but yes.
Thank you, Portia.
Okay, and so I know just to be encouraged for those, sometimes it can feel overwhelming, the fight we have before us. But one thing I love about what you're doing too is you've been talking about the joyful warrior, and you have been showing people that we can have joy and still fight at the same time. And so thank you for showing that. And lastly, as we're wrapping up, I know that you speak openly that your mom is deceased. And do you think about what she might be thinking of you right now, and seeing her son, her baby, running for Congress? You're frozen. I don't know if you're speaking. Are you saying anything? Okay, well, I don't know if we lost Gary or not. But thank you so much, Gary, for your time here with us, and thank you for all that you shared. Are you talking?
I think went to heaven. I think that my grandfather tried.
Oh, we lost him again. So I don't know if he's going to jump back in. I know he had another interview. I'm just so appreciative of him coming on and sharing with us. I do want to encourage you all, those who are able to vote for him, to please get out and vote for him. But as we've seen, that you do not have to be in his area to support him. People around the nation have been supporting. So there are many ways to get involved. You can go to his website and find out, share his posts, like, tag, donate. You can donate to his campaign, but definitely get involved, and just even in an effort of just doing like he did, is just show up in your own community, fight the good fight of faith, do good and seek justice. And we're going to believe, and we know that we're going higher. Let's go higher. This is Gary's sweater. You can get it on GaryChambers.com. You can many of his other apparels on there. Just let's support him, but it's not just about him. It is about our communities. So we want to fight the fight for our children. Many times, we even see in the word where it says that there were generations that had to fight giants because the former generations did not deal with them. And so we want to deal with some of these giants, and we want them to end here. And so let's do good, let's seek justice, and let's do our part. Thank you so much for participating, and until next time, be blessed.
All right, y'all. But did you enjoy that conversation with Gary Chambers? I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. As I have stated, his story is so inspirational to me. I love to see how it started, to hear how it started as far as his involvement in politics, but even his life story, if you hear about it, it is one of a blessing to see how God has moved, his hand has moved in his life, and how he's been with him. And to see, just in 2019, you all, I was volunteering with Gary for his Senate race. And as he stated, he couldn't, in a year, there was a cap on how much he raised. I don't remember if he said 24,000, forgive me if I said it wrong, but there was some number he couldn't even get to in that race. And then now in 2021, in a short period of time, the Lord has presented him on a platform where the nation has poured into his congressional race. And they're looking to sow into him so that he could win this Senate race. I mean, the congressional race. Y'all forgive me. And so it's amazing that they've raised over $300,000. So I am just excited to see what God is doing. And that's an encouragement to anybody, whether you ever desire to be in politics or not. What I want you to do is to be encouraged, to know that there's nothing too hard for God, to know that all it takes is taking the first step. One thing I love about Gary's story is that when he didn't win the Senate race, and I listened to him, it was hard for him. But what I heard in him as he took his time to regather himself, what he decided was, what is my next assignment? What is the work that I'm going to do? Because he was committed to the work. So he didn't say, no, I'm done. I'm done helping people. I'm done to know. He gathered himself together. And then he got a plan for the work that he was ready to do. So that's the word I want to encourage you. Wherever you're trying to get in this life and wherever place you're trying to go, continue to do the work. Don't be discouraged, because somebody can and will see the efforts that are being made. Your story may not end like Gary Chambers. There are some people who have callings and anointings or different things, or whatever you want to call what's happening in his life is definitely the hand of God. The way I identify as the hand of God upon his life. All of our stories are not going to look like his, but we can still be encouraged that if we just take the first step. What's the first step for you? So remember, at the end of each of these, we want you to begin to look within and say, what is my next step? So today we were talking about politics. It's important that we are all engaged and all informed about politics. Now, you may not know a lot. I honestly feel like I don't know as much as I should know. With my 2 degrees and so many years in my doctoral program and all the work I've done in the field, I feel like I should be a little more advanced in my understanding, but I'm not exactly where I want to be in my understanding. But what do? I just find the people who are, And I find people who have the passions that I have, the people who have convictions that I have, people who I look up to, who are serving in these positions, and I try to follow them. And I try to, if they have something going on, I try to support, and I try to glean from them as much as I can. Reading books. You may need to read a book. You may need to have a conversation. That's what this is about. Like, let's be intentional about our conversations and just start talking to the people around you. You might have a conversation with someone around you, and you may find a way to volunteer. You may find a way that you can get involved by just talking to the people or talking to people who are engaged in this process. Like I said, but there's something that we can all do. You can volunteer for Gary's campaign if you are in support of him. Now, that's your decision, who you support. There are also opportunities to listen to his platform, listen to the things that he cares about. There will be some things coming up in the future. I will hopefully be able to host something soon. And so be on the lookout for that information. When you come to something where they're having information, you don't have to make up your mind and know who you're voting for. That's an opportunity for you to learn more about that candidate, to see if that's someone who aligns with your values, to someone that you can support and trust in office. So I definitely want to encourage you to be engaged, be informed, and take that first step. Go to a city council meeting, go to a school board meeting. Whatever it is you're interested in, do something. Write a letter to your senator, to your congressman. Write a letter to someone who pay attention to the local elections. Start reading about like we have. If you're in the Baton Rouge area, then you know that we have the congressional office that we'll be voting for soon. So look at the different people who are running, learn about the candidates, and choose the one that best suits your needs. Of course, I'm supporting Gary Chambers, but I have followed him for a long time, and I feel very confident that is a person who I would want to represent me and my family. So thank you all again for tuning in. Now, this is the time for our dedication segment. And also, just a reminder of this weekend, we have the session with Bishop Greg Davis. We're celebrating singleness. So it is going to be February 13th at 1 p.m. You can sign up to be on the Zoom call with him. I just finished his relationship goals course, y'all. And if my makeup looks a little messed up, it's because I was crying a lot. I was a little emotional today, but the course was so good. I'm so glad I took it. I almost avoided it, but I'm so glad. Thank you, Bishop Davis, for all that you poured into us. So I'm super excited about just the information that was shared, the reflection that I had during that time, and just the work that I'm doing to move forward. So if you're single, be intentional about surrounding yourself with singles who are being intentional about where they're headed in their single walk. It's important to set goals. It's important to know where you're at and what you want to do, what you want to know. This is a great time to tune in with Bishop Davis and be able to ask some questions. All right. So I hope that you will tune in. It's free. February 13th, 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope to see you there. So again, this is the dedication segment of the show. I'm so excited about this letter I have today, you all. This letter is written from a mother. It is a letter. It's called a letter to my son, and it is from Dr. Annie Daniel, and it is to her son Chuck, who I am interviewing next week. So be on the lookout. It is for the conversation's for anyone. But we are talking about being an entrepreneur. So Chuck will be on my show next week, and so I'm so excited about that. And so this is a beautiful segue, is to read this letter that his mom wrote to him. So again, it says, "A letter to my son, Charles Andrew Daniel. My dear son, Charles, when I think of you on your path on this globe, two things come to mind. To whom much is given, much is required." In Ecclesiastes 3:1-15. To whom much is given, much is required. I think you fully understand that you were blessed with intelligence and creativity. You have concorded much in your short life. You know that it is not what you have and do, but you know that it's all about what you have done for the least of them. Your empathy for the poor and homeless amazes me. because many of those your age are not thinking about how to selflessly help the poor and homeless. Instead, they do it to elevate themselves and to meet their own career aspirations. With pride, I have watched you feed hundreds of homeless people in New Orleans and campaign for blankets to warm the homeless in New Orleans. You have worked to ensure that children have toys for Christmas by having toy drives. You understand that we who are blessed to be a blessing. I am proud to have you as a son who is not selfish and uncaring, but is aware of the poor and the disenfranchised challenges, and you have stepped up to support them. Life experiences have taught you there is a time for everything. In Ecclesiastes 3 and 1 through 15, the scripture teaches us about time. It says there is a time for everything and a season to everything, to every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. And a time to tear down, a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear down and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. Thus far, when I think of your life, I think of this scripture because you have a time for different seasons in your life. I believe you have taken the time to reflect and plant, uproot, tear down, refrain, throw away, and be silent. Now you are reaping, healing, building, growing, embracing, mending, and in your speaking up phase of your life. The wars and the hate are ending. You are finally at peace and dancing in the glory and the goodness of God. Our God has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. God says, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and do good while they live, and that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. So I say to you, my loving, caring son, trust in God and allow him to continue to guide and direct your footsteps, your thoughts and actions, because God can dream a bigger dream for you than you could ever dream for yourself. Success comes when you surrender to that dream and let it lead you to the next best place. I pray for you often and trust that you will not depart from the sound and voice of God, but will listen to him always. I love and I'm so proud of the man you have become. Your mom, Annie J. Daniel. Thank you so much, Dr. Daniel, for writing that letter. The first time I read it, y'all, I did cry. I told y'all I am emotional sometimes. Today was an emotional day for me, but it was such a beautiful, heartfelt letter. And clearly, again, a mother who is so proud of her son. She clearly has done an amazing job in raising him. And you all will be so enlightened from him in this next interview. The interview was 2 hours. I'm going to break it up because I know y'all won't sit through 2 hours, but I'm going to break it up into short segments. So don't worry. It'll be like 4 different episodes. But there was a lot of information, a lot of great wisdom he shared. And I'm just looking forward to y'all hearing from Chuck. He is a great visionary. He has a lot of things inside of him. And as I was talking to him, I know there is so much more for him to do. And so I can't wait to see what God is going to do in his life. But hearing the letter from his mom, there's no wonder there is so much inside of him and so much work for him to do. She clearly raised him in the fear and admonition of the Lord. And, just definitely constantly praying over him. Those who have children, let us remember to pray over our children, to speak those things over them, and be encouraged about the path and the things that they choose, knowing that we can't even envision all that God has for us. And so I see that as Chuck's life is unfolding, and he's still at the beginning phases, what I believe, because I just see so much inside of him. He has, like she said, so much vision, passion for people. So I can't wait to see that all that God does for him. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the support. Listen, the calls, the texts, just coming up, support me, watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, those who are just encouraging me, letting me know how much you enjoy what I'm doing. It means the world to me, you all. I took a step of faith, and I'm going to do a video for those who are subscribed to my website. I am going to do a video just about this process, what it has been like for me. Why did I do this? Why now? So I'll give y'all some behind the scenes footage on my website page. If you would like to have some more information about that, you can check it out there. Check out my Instagram page for upcoming events. Again, there will be the call on Saturday, and then I will be looking to do an event with Gary Chambers. I did go out to his rally the previous Saturday, so I was very excited about that. Sean King came out. It was an amazing time to see the support of people who have been around him through the years, to see the leaders in the community who are behind him, to hear and see Sean King fly from New York and say how he hasn't been going anywhere, but he flew and felt it was important for him to come out and show his support for this race, y'all. That's how much it meant to him that he and his family allowed him that grace to travel during the time of COVID in order to support. Of course, they were very safe, kept their mask on, but he came down to fight for someone and to show support for someone he feels very strongly should be in office. And I wholeheartedly agree. So y'all, there's some amazing things going on. This is the time to get involved. I seen a quote before that says, we complain about society, but we are society. And so, or we blame society, but we are society. Listen, if you are an adult, the people we read about in the history books, most of them are probably gone or almost gone. And so, and I don't mean anything by that. I don't mean to be insensitive, but what I mean is we are the people. Like, this is our time to get involved, to get engaged, to begin to do the work. If we're not happy with what we see, let's get engaged, let's get involved, and let's do our part. You may feel like you can only do a little part, but guess what? Your little part can matter. Again, look at Gary Chambers making huge waves out here, just by stepping up, and one day stepping up and going to a city council meetings and communicating about something he was not happy about. Okay, guys, well, I will let you go. Get engaged, get involved, and be on the lookout for community events. Thank you. Have a great evening.